Here's the bell ringer for Friday, September 3rd. You need to copy the graph, and from the graph we're going to find the domain, the range, f of -1, f of 0, f of 1, and f of 2. So see if you can find these 6 things on your own before I answer the problem. So the domain is all possible x values in this function. And so coming from the left, we're actually coming from negative infinity. And we are not stopping. We're going all the way to positive infinity. So the domain includes all real numbers. The range, coming from the bottom to the top, we're coming from negative infinity, and we are stopping at positive 1, and 1 is included. So bracket. All right, f of -1. What would my output be for the function if my input is -1? So if my x value is -1, where would we end up on the function? What would be my output? So if x is -1, I'm right here on the function. The y value or output would be 0. If my x value is 0, where am I at on the function? What is my output? That would be 1. If my input is 1, my output would be 0. And if my input is 2, my output would be here, -3. All right, so make sure you get this bell ringer copied in your notebook and dated September 3rd. Okay, today I just want you to take some good notes to put in your notebook. We're going to go over the 6 parent functions that you need to know. And so copy each graph and each example that I put on here. The first one is just your constant functions. This is just where you have y equals some number. And it's always a horizontal line going through the y-axis. It has a slope of 0. So I gave you 2 examples here, y equals 2 and y equals -1. You'll copy both of those. And the second one is your linear functions. The parent function y equals x, I put in the green line. And then y equals -x is the red line. So y equals x is going right through the origin. And it's linear because the highest exponent for x that we have is 1. So anytime you have that, that is a linear function. So the parent function y equals x, it's going uphill, it's increasing. It has a positive 1 slope, or 1/1. And y equals -x is going downhill, has a negative slope, or a -1/1 slope. So copy both of those. And our next one is our quadratic function, y equals x². Quadratic function, the highest exponent for x is 2. So you have y equals positive x², it's opening up. That's my green one. And then y equals -x², it's opening down. And that's my red one. And you can see, you can test these points if you want to. But like if you plug in an input of 1, so like my x is 1, my output's going to be 1. So that's where we get the point 1 comma 1. Or if my input is 2, so if you plug in a 2 squared, what's my output going to be? 4. So that's why we have the coordinate 2 comma 4. Or if you plug in a negative 2, that's also going to give me a positive 4. So you got negative 2, positive 4. So whether you plug in positive numbers or negative numbers, you're going to have a positive output. But if you have a negative out front, that would make everything negative. So there's the quadratic parent function. Here's your cubic function. The highest exponent for x is 3. Y equals x cubed. The positive one's going uphill. The negative one's going downhill. Y equals positive x to the third is my green one. Y equals negative x to the third is my red one. So if you put in a 2, if your input is 2 and you cube it, you get 8. So the coordinate 2 comma 8 will be right here. And then we have your absolute value function. The absolute value of x looks like a V, similar to the quadratic, but it's a V shape. So you have positive absolute value of x and negative absolute value of x. And our last one we have is our square root function. Y equals the square root of x. This is my green one. Y equals negative square root of x is my red one. These are the 6 parent functions that you need to know. And as far as your test material goes, this is, well, there's a chart here at the end that we need to do. But this is the last thing I want to cover that'll be on your next test, and I'll make a study guide for y'all and post that probably Tuesday. But the last thing I want you to do for these notes is make you a chart for the ones that we've done, for the parent functions that we did. And I want you to give the domain, range, positive intervals, negative intervals, the increasing intervals, decreasing intervals, and if they have a max or a min, maximum or minimum value, we'll put that in the chart. So I want you to make a chart for these parent functions that we've done, and that'll be the end of the notes. This is the last thing I want you to do for today. So put all this in your notebook and be looking Tuesday for a study guide. I'll be working on that this weekend. And if you have any questions, you can just email me. Y'all have a good weekend.